Thanks for the great introduction. I think I've been happily living in Singapore for the last 8 years with Jungle Ventures. But before that, I started my career in Paris with a venture fund. That was, fresh off university. So first job, join a VC firm, venture capital firm in Paris. I spent about 3.5 years there, started gaining some experience. And after that 3.5 years, I really felt like I wanted to get some international experience. After having studied abroad, I really wanted to get some, real working experience abroad. So with my now husband, we resigned from our jobs in Paris and we moved to Asia because we felt like Southeast Asia was really a very exciting place to be, and a lot of things were happening at the startup level. So we literally just packed two kind of piece of luggage and left for Singapore. And we've been operating from Singapore since then. So it's been about 8 years now, and really enjoy being there. I feel like, the VC space, you may or may not know, is a fairly male-dominated industry. So I've kind of always been either the only woman or the first in the investment team, and kind of then later on got joined by other female partners or colleagues. But it's been a journey of navigating into a kind of a men's world at the startup level and at the VC level. So pretty fun ride as well.
Yeah, I definitely, thanks for sharing. I think 8 years, it's amazing. And I think personally, we have known each other, if I'm not wrong, 5 years, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, probably 5 years. And as we were mentioning just in the green room, before the event, that, how we met actually in that room when we first raised the fund from Jungle Ventures, and you just came from Paris with a baggage that you just...
Yeah.
And I think today Jungle has a lot of, female, I would say, principals or investment partners. On that note, if you can share, how do you and Jungle Ventures support female founders and provide equal opportunity?
Yeah, sure. So at Jungle, we now have, we're not 50-50 when it comes to male, women, but we do have a lot of female at the investment level. So we're still trying to get more at the partner level, but at least when it comes to the person in charge of selecting companies, pitching internally, we do have quite a lot of ladies out there, so that's good. When I look at Jungle Ventures and the way we kind of try to support female founders, when it comes to investments, we're always looking for great founders and founders building great businesses. So we'll definitely look at the overall, what's the kind of large addressable markets, and if there is a real pain point, and obviously looking to back founders who have a great vision and who would be able to execute. And that's kind of regardless of gender. So we're not only looking for women-led businesses, but we do have some incredible female founders in the portfolio. So, yourself, Jeeta, we also have Crisanti from Sociola, who's building a kind of a beauty platform in Southeast Asia from Indonesia, starting with Indonesia. We have Shagufta, who has built a design SaaS companies across the US and Singapore, and a few more in the portfolio companies. And obviously there are many more in the region that Jungle has not backed, but still women who are starting businesses. I think we are, that being said, we are still aware that it's funding to female founders is extremely low. I think it's not even 5% globally, and Southeast Asia is no different. So we're trying to do more to promote female entrepreneurship. So I think at the Jungle level, we have partnered with the Founder Institute to try to promote female entrepreneurship in the region. I personally spend quite some time with several initiatives to promote coaching and coaching to women founders, and also kind of help women who want to start investing into founders, so that we can try to initiate a nice positive circle around that. But there is definitely much more that we can do. There's definitely a long way to go to make that both the VC and the tech and entrepreneur side way more supporting for women.
Thanks. I think that helps a lot, the kind of initiatives that you're doing, because personally, I have seen you in LinkedIn, like offering the mentorship sessions and all those things. So what do you think, we know that the ratio is very small. It's 5%, or maybe in some places it's lesser actually. Not sure about the exact percentage in Southeast Asia. I hope it would be a little lesser actually. So what do you think, when you let's say, when a lot of founders come and pitch, let's say women founders come and pitch, what are the things that are missing, or what are the things that are, powerful even when male founders pitch? What's your viewpoint to that? And how do you see in the industry, especially in the tech space, stepping up?
So I think when we meet with founders, irrespective of the gender, we really try to assess their skills, their kind of learning agility, collaborative mindsets, risk-taking attitude, the integrity of the business model, and that's when we apply a first filter, so to speak. But then, because we invest at early stage, really spending time with the founding team makes a lot of difference, because we are, we met probably 5 or 6 years ago, and we're still working together. So it's really a long-term relationship. You, as a founder and as a VC, you really have to find someone that, who you're ready to work with for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And really make sure that there is a good connection and kind of chemistry as well. So I think when we first have that conversation with founders, that's definitely what we're trying to assess. Is that a person we think obviously is building a great business that has leg, but do we also see ourselves working with that person? And I think at Jungle, we have something that I like, which is part of our investment process. During the due diligence process, once we start thinking that we do want to invest in a company, we actually have the whole team at Jungle spend a day, 2 days, if it's in a different country, with the whole team of that company, so that we can really get to spend time with the founding team, but also the rest of their employees. So before COVID, that's typically something we will do. And you try to spend as much time as possible with the team. And that includes a lot of, time off and having lunch, having dinners, and trying to get to connect with the person beyond just having pitch and kind of business meetings. So that helped to invest with more confidence and make sure you want to spend that much time. And I think when it comes to women founders, what we've seen and it's at least not unusual. It's to see that they can build companies that have that are a bit more collaborative. We see a lot more transparency and a different approach as well to kind of problem solving, and that's something that we're trying to encourage even more. But as you were saying, it's Southeast Asia and India, because we're also investing in India, are around that 3 to 5%. So there's still more things to do.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I think, vision, execution, irrespective of the gender, I think that's important. And what you mentioned in the working relationship, I think we have been able to work, so well for the last 5 years, because we shared that. Because investment, I think, as we talk in the investment world, it's like a marriage, right? And I still remember, that I had a freaking no clue about building a financial model, and it was you who helped me, just learn on the job. If you remember 5 years back, when we didn't have our CFO Ishwar or anyone in the company, so it was you. And I think you helped me a lot in learning on the job and building it. On that note, I think I have my third question to you. And I think this, since is a private event to all the Tookitakians, you have been involved with our company, for quite some years. So, if you can share some moments that are dear to you, can be highs, can be lows, doesn't matter. Something that's dear to you.
Yeah. So if I had to pick a few, because I don't think one is enough. I think so. We've been an investor for probably, I think it's more 6 years than 5, but we've been investor for quite some time. And I think what's been really great and rewarding is to actually see how you and Abhishek have grown into becoming strong leaders. As you were saying, at first you were starting. At first, Tookitaki was not even the Tookitaki that we know, right? It was a different story, a different business that you were building, and I think it's been fascinating to see how you both managed to pivot the business when you had to. Just keep on learning. I think that's a very important thing to keep doing, right? You were saying, I had no clue about building a financial plan. You just, start working on it and then learn and keep adding more, skills. And I think that's been really great to see how, you've really become leaders and from founders really becoming leaders of the business. I think you've done a great job as well in hiring the people. I think, again, when we look at the founding team of companies, I spoke about the learning ability and agility, and there's also, how are you able to, how easy is it for you to keep on adding great talents and retaining that talent? Because obviously, people want to work with great people. So I think that also has been really great to see how, from a small company, you've managed to grow, hire more people. Some people left, but you've managed to, take on a lot of feedback and then see where you wanted the company to get, and make sure that now you have more people. You are building an HR function so that you also bring the best people. And I think doing that across geographies, when you are a startup, when you are raising funds, managing the cash flow, all of that together is a challenging task. And I think you've done a great job. And I think something else that I like about Tookitaki, where it's a closed door event, so I'm going to say it, but we do have some investments in companies that are, great businesses, but the vision or the product that is being built is not extremely, exciting. Fast fashion is great, but I think trying to fight financial crime or money laundering is a bit more challenging and has a bit more meaning. And I think that's something that resonates. The fact that you've been able to win deals and demonstrate that the vision you have, the passion you have, the many hours that everyone at Tookitaki has put into building this company, has an impact in the real life, and that something good is coming out of that. So I think it's been really good to see how, from a small startup, you've been able, with everyone's efforts and long working hours, you've been able to really demonstrate, win deals, and make something big of it. So that's really important, and it's very rewarding for as an investor.
Thank you, Alice. I think that means a lot to me and to all the people in Tookitaki who put in their sweat every day, to make the company grow. With that, we'll shift a little bit with the Alice, the investor, I think. And, we will go with this, there's a bestseller book by financial editor and writer called Loan Lofton. I don't know if you have read it. Says that Warren Buffett invests like a girl, and why you should too. Have you read it?
No.
Okay, never mind. So that's the saying. It's a bestseller book actually. I personally finished reading it last year, so I thought I'll bring that topic actually. So what's your investment thesis, right? From Alice the analyst to Alice the partner, now Alice the principal. You are taking calls and shots. Okay, this is the investment I should go ahead with.
Yeah.
What's your investment thesis?
So I think, again, because we are early stage investor, I think the number one thesis is really, do we want to work with these people? Because if it's a great team, even if the product isn't really working that well, we know they have the grits, they have the energy, they have that learning agility to pivot the business when that's required. So I think that's really the number one, making sure that we work with founders who are great at what they're doing, but we want to work with them many hours over the next few years. That's really important at an early stage, of course. And then I think it's again, are we solving a big enough pain point? Is there a large enough market? I think this is also something that we spend tremendous time and also looking at, what's the business model like? Is it just a run to catch all customers, but you will keep losing money? Or is there a way to turn that into a profitable business? I think, it's something that is key at Jungle, but that also resonates very well with me personally. Are we just trying to invest in the next trendy business, or do we actually believe in the business? Do we believe that there's a way to be profitable without just burning cash? And eventually, is there an impact, which is something that, again, I think is really important with Tookitaki and with some of our most recent investment as well. Are we really solving a pain for the end user? And that end user can be a business or a consumer. I personally love working and investing in the B2B space, because I think there's a lot of new solutions that can be developed to really streamline the way people are working. And I think there is a lot of really exciting businesses also being built in the overall HR space. So I am personally spending quite some time on that, in that category, trying to see how we can improve the way employees are working. And there are many different theses around upskilling, employee engagements. So, definitely something that is resonating well at Jungle and with me. But to come back to the invest like a woman piece of the advice, I think it kind of comes back to, again, trying to build that trust environment, spending time with the founding team, and making sure that you build transparency and more collaboration in the relationship.
So I'll just sum up what you mentioned for all of us, I think, to take back on the investment pillars. So you mentioned the market. Is the market large enough? Is the pinpoint, really matters to the end users, I think. And then the working team or the founding group, I think that's what, and founders, should not be rigid. If they have to pivot, these are the kind of attitude and all those things.
Yeah.
That's what, I think the main key lessons, we just spoke about. And I think on that, I would have the last question to you, and then we'll open up for questions from the audience. We'll take 2-3 questions for you. So what advice, or suggestion do you have for the young women in tech? We have many women in Tookitaki. So what advice would you, have for the women in tech?
Yeah. So I think it's the number one, and I make sure I buy that book, but I think the number one is to kind of keep learning. I think you have to kind of, especially if you are in a slightly more male-dominated industry, because you have to kind of speak up and make sure that you are able to share your point of view and kind of voice your ideas. You always have to kind of back up that with making sure you keep learning. It takes time, it takes efforts, because it's kind of time taken from something else. But if you kind of get into the habit of learning, and today it can be listening to podcasts, looking at videos online, reading books, attending training sessions from Tookitaki or your employer. But it's important to keep learning so that when you speak up, you feel more confidence. And I think if you project self-confidence, people will believe in you even more. If you believe in yourself, then other people will do so. So I think that's something that it's kind of getting into this habits. And as a side note, I think it's also important for women, especially, to make sure they keep learning and kind of educating themselves around the personal finances, because that will bring kind of financial freedom, and you are the one in charge of that. So closing that, I think the kind of another advice I would have would really be to surround yourself with people who would be positively helping you, and that can be men or women. You can call that a mentor, but it can also just be colleagues or family support, a group of friends, and they can be people in your industry, in a different industry. But I think it's important to have that kind of friendly support to help you and guide you through some of these moments where you may have doubts, or you may just need to quickly show that something, and you just need that quick reassurance to help you, that little push. So I think it's important to have that.
Thank you. I think that helps a lot. And I think you have really said, the words that, if your fundamentals are clear, which can be only clear through reading and learning and surrounding yourself with people, with whom you can look up to, friends or mentors, right? And so you can speak your mind, you can be confident, and you can be you, actually.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think I'll open up for questions to the audience. We are right on time, but we can still take 2 questions. Lovina, do you have, or audience, you can directly ask Alice also some questions. I'll just open up.
Yep.
And anyone asking the question, please feel free to switch on your video so that we are able to see you, and Alice is also able to see you. Any questions for Alice?
Alice, this is Kiran. I'm SVP of the people team. I like
your video is not on.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. So I really like the comments around people and how you've made a lot of effort to listen and then make your policies, adapt to policies as you understand why people leave and those sort of things. Is there any example that you could share with us that really made a, it was a good observation that we could use also, where some policies were, sort of tweaked to have better engagement? Quite keen to hear on that.
So I think, looking internally at Jungle, we've also had some kind of mismatched when it comes to hiring. And I think one of them, or actually two of them, were no good fit from a culture, a way of communication perspective. And I think the way we've twisted okay, bear with us, we're not as big as Tookitaki, right? We're a team of 25 people. So, and that was, I'm talking about the days where we were maybe only 15. So it's not as if we had many policies around hiring and kind of onboarding people and offboarding people. But I think where we kind of tweaked the process was to make it a bit more inclusive when it comes to hiring, to make sure that it's not only a top-down process, and that we make sure we gather insights from people who would actually have to work with someone at a different level. And also, I think doing a better job when it comes to onboarding, making sure that we are sharing information and making sure that the expectations are in line with the reality of working at a startup, because we're a startup ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Alice.
Hi, Alice. This is Murali.
Hey, Murali.
Hi. Very nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks for all your wisdom and insights that you shared. So broadly, I'm a very big fan of diversity and inclusion in general, right? So it's not just about gender. Of course, gender is very important. I think we have come a long way in terms of celebrating Women's Day and so on. There's a broader theme of diversity and inclusion, right? So the mix and how the mix works together. So in that aspect, do you have any insights or advice that what would men can play a role differently to, improve further in this whole diversity and inclusion agenda?
So your question is how men can help improve even further, right? I think the way I look at it, the first thing is kind of acknowledging that, there are differences and we may not be there when it comes to equality, and but we're collectively working on that. I think that there's also trying collectively to make the workplace a more inclusive one, and that including people, giving people more flexibility, and that applies to men and women, right? Both would have to care for younger kids, elderly. So having a flexible kind of workplace where everyone can kind of take some time to focus on their life if they have to, while still working, I think that's important. And it applies to both gender, because if we really want to make sure that we are celebrating and empowering women, we have to make sure that kind of the private life workload is also equally shared. So we need to make sure that at the office we're giving the same options to both women and men. When I look at some of the managers and managing role who are led by men, I think it's important for them to kind of bring that transparency and kind of be a role model themselves. So I think I spoke a bit earlier about how it is kind of proven by kind that women try to have slightly more collaborative and transparent teams, and kind of bring more trust environment, I think it's something that can also be done by men if they really try. But it's I think the first one is really to kind of recognize and bring more flexibility, because again, I think if we also give more flexibility to men, that will have a positive impact on the women.